Hello, good evening, and welcome to your Friday night podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew, and I'm joined tonight by the podfather himself, Stevie. It's actually been a while since you and me have done a pod together, Stevie, so this is a nice change of pace, and we're kind of scrambling about, trying to think about what to talk about. Let's just have a chat, see where things go.
Yeah, definitely early tonight. I think the feeling behind it was we didn't have any podders, did we, Andrew? First of all, everybody's away out and about and stuff. As you well know, this is volunteering, so voluntary. So yeah, we just decided to go early, have a bit of a natter. I would encourage everybody to get any questions in or anything like that they have. But we'll talk a wee bit about Scottish Cup. We'll do our favourite memories and stuff like that. We'll look ahead to Sunday, how we mix it up. Andrew, I've not spoken to you in a while. You've not been on. Rangers cut the gap to 3 points. What I thought turned into a really solid performance against Kilmarnock. What's been your thoughts on the last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, just touching on the game last night, Wednesday night, right? Jeez,
yeah, Wednesday.
This week. It's going back to that one. I think it was interesting because we saw both the good and bad, I think, of Rangers this season. We saw how we can at times be sluggish, how we can lack that impetus. We can see how we can be reserved. But you saw in that second half, and obviously telling with the introduction of the new signings coming in, that we really improved. I mean, I think the performance started ticking up just initially in that first half already. The ball cross from Miovski getting the second goal. But as the new signings come on, you start to look really good. I'm not going to get quite as carried away as perhaps you, Kenny, and Chris were on the Wednesday pod about our new left back. I think he's had a fine half hour. We shall see how things go. I've been hurt before, unfortunately. But it was all very exciting. I mean, a 5-1 victory is always going to be nice. Obviously, we'll always complain about the fact that we conceded the goal, but I think that's just one of those things you have to accept. And I've said it plenty of times over pods for the past few weeks that we thought we were dead and buried September. We were honestly contemplating if we were going to make the split, let alone, being in a title race. So we've had other teams slipping up and not having, their own successes. But, we can look at ourselves. We can look at the defence. We can look at how Danny Röhl has managed to grind out and get these results. Broadly speaking, it's been very positive, and it's an unusual thing to be doing on a Rangers pod. But nonetheless, it's been pleasing. It's been very nice to see that. So yeah, I've enjoyed it, mate.
Yeah, listen, Rangers winning 5-1 in any game is always going to be pleasing, Andrew. But what pleased me more was, for the first time in a while, and I've spoken about this, so, there is context. Kilmarnock have had 10 men and everything else, but the last 30 minutes, it actually looked like this is a team that know what they're doing going forward. This is a team that, I'm not going to say it clicked, right? Because the only way we're going to know really if it clicks is if they go to Motherwell and win, if they go and beat Hearts, then it clicks, right? But for that 30 minutes against Kilmarnock, when Romans was going down the left, when Ant-Man was cutting inside, when Mikey Moore was overloading the 10, so he was everywhere, urgent and really impressive, and Skov Olsen come in from the right, see for the first time in what feels like a really long time. And even when we were winning that 6, 7, 8 games and things like that, I never felt like we really clicked into gear in the final third because we were scoring set pieces and stuff against Kilmarnock in that final 30 minutes. And there was loads of context, right? Loads of context to it. They've got 10 men, etc., etc. But that was the first time I looked at them, Andrew, and thought, this is really nice. I can see what they're doing. Rumans went beyond. It meant Ant-Man could cut in. They all moved over. Moore overloaded. Skov came in, and everything looked like it should. It looked good. We had loads of threat. First time in a while, I was like, yes, this is nice. I know what we're doing here. I really like how we look. I like the look of the new players. That was a nice feeling, Andrew.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting hearing Danny Röhl talk in the press conference afterwards. he had obviously been questioned, I think, prior to the game about some of the players who were included. But I think it was really good to see that after we've basically worn Killy out over 60 minutes, we give the new guys that opportunity to come on and make a difference and influence the game. We were already winning 2-0 at that point, but nonetheless, the new players start coming on and we start seeing some really good things. And that has got to be positive for those new players coming in. They can see how it feels to be part of it when they start earning successes at Rangers. It's only one game. It's an isolation. Killy are second bottom of the league. They are where they are. Whatever fondness for their current manager aside, we still recognise their position in this league right now. They're only being off the bottom because Livingston are even worse than they are. But nonetheless, it was a good fluent performance, the type of which we haven't seen in very many of our games this season. We've not looked like that kind of organised, that kind of attack-minded, if you like, in a lot of our games this season. Certainly not for extended periods of time. And that was really positive for me to see, seeing how well some of these players knit together. And it's the first time that Tua Romans, for instance, has played. It's the first time our new striker has played as well, the king of the third division in Germany. So it's only the third time that Scott Olsen's played for us as well. So I mean, it's early doors, but it's stuff to be very excited about, and very pleasing. I'm hopeful it continues.
Yeah, and here's the thing: a couple of components in the second half for me come into play. First of all, Nadiri coming on up front made a huge difference because he played on the last man and the press was so much better. 100 times better. Now, there's a comment here from Chris, and he's right. I think we're still ignoring our lackadaisical press. Kilmarnock playing the ball around us with 10 men like we weren't there in the first half. I'm not sure it's quite as bad as what people make out. And I don't think it's great either. That's not the point. But I do think that maybe people are getting a wee bit carried away with how bad it was. I think that we missed a number of chances, 13 shots in the first half. Miovski forgot his shooting boots, didn't he? Mighoma was in as well. We could have had 3 or 4, but we weren't urgent enough. The only urgency came from Mikey Moore. And I think Diamandi was great in the second half, which we need more of. And I think he helped us, but the subs definitely made the difference. Andrew, I see what people, there's context to everything, right? We don't want to get too carried away, but it's all right to win 5-1 and say, listen, that was pretty good. There was some good stuff in there. We can acknowledge that the press wasn't right and it wasn't great in the first half, but I'm of the opinion, as I said last night, I just don't think it's as bad as what people want to see or maybe think it might be. But yeah, Ant-Man played the left side in Holland and he came on the left side, and for the first time he actually looked at it, and I like the fact that he was trying. Like, there was a hunger there for him. And did it all come off? No, it didn't. Was it all wonderful? It absolutely wasn't. So yeah, I think all in all we can take it as being a good result. To beat anyone by that scoreline eats into goal difference, a welcome boost, and we go ahead into Scottish Cup weekend and we look quite good. I suppose there's lots of positives. There is some negatives from it, but you know what, Andrew? We've cut the gap to 3 points. Yeah. We're in a really good position. We're in a position also where I spoke about this on the Rangers review, spoke about it last night. We need to get our head ready for the potential. As Hearts play Hibs on Tuesday night. We could be going to Fir Park, cutting that gap, or going to go top. We even, regardless of that, playing Hearts next week to go top. If the results stayed the same and we moved into that game. And I think we need to get that into our psyche as a support and as a team as well, that, hey, listen, 10 weeks ago is away, it's whatever, we're here and now, and this could be the biggest week in our season so far. Scottish Cup, 2 games to go top of the league. Yeah.
I mean, it's been the case for the last month or so, but every game's massive. Of course it is. Scottish Cup, despite the level of opposition, we know fine well that this team, that we're going to be playing, have got the potential to upset things, because we saw it last year. We're which hurt. Wasn't ideal.
Oh, hard.
Exactly. But so I don't think we can take that lighthearted. And then we come into the Motherwell game as well. And I know that will be a hard game, or at least I think it will be a hard game. They've got a better defence in the league than we do right now, as things stand. Not improved by Jack Butland throwing one in, unfortunately, as well. So we know that will be tough. I suspect, although I hope I'm wrong, obviously, that it won't be another 5-1. I think that one will be a lot tougher. But I think what we have added over this winter transfer window, which has been very heartening, has been a number of players who look attack-minded, who look like they can do things. They look like they can unlock things for us. We haven't had enough of that from the team prior to these guys coming in, and that's going to be very exciting for us. And I'm reluctant to try and get too far ahead because I don't think in a title race, I think you can drive yourself a little bit crazy doing that in a title race. You map out all the possible permutations, and that's without even getting into games in hand and what that might mean. Is that as good as 3 points, or could someone else slip up? It all comes down to what we do, and we know that the thing we need to do right now, just keep winning games. And I'm of the opinion, I don't care how those come. If it comes with a great performance, wonderful. But if it comes as crappy 2-0 wins, I'll take that all the way to the end of the season. If we do crap 2-0 wins all the way from now to the end of the season, we finish up with a league title in the Scottish Cup. And I'll happily take that. That's a step above where the vast majority of our seasons over the past 15 years have finished up. So I'll happily take that all the way.
Yeah, of course. But listen, see if you offered me that for the next week, then I'm absolutely grabbing it. Then things get a wee bit better, Andrew, because we go then from week to week. There's no midweeks, right? Now, I would like to think that with the group being smaller and tighter, players returning from injury, Connor Barron's a few weeks away, get these squad players back, make it stronger, more time on the training pitch, which Danny Rule hasn't really had. All of a sudden, I think it starts to look brighter for Rangers. We don't have midweek games. We don't have Europa League, which I would love to still be in. That's not saying I wouldn't. I would absolutely love to still be in it. But the point in it is that you've seen how much Porto took out of us when we went to Easter Road. I don't think anyone watching would deny the fact that we were absolutely knackered. Would it be the worst thing in the world if Celtic went through against Stuttgart to then go and play Porto another 2 games? I'm not sure it is now. I'm going to sit and tell everybody I would want Celtic to get beat at Ludo. I really would. But for our sake and a title race, and, would I want them to stay in it around extra to get those extra games in a squad that I don't really think they have? Absolutely for me. So I would rather, at this moment, selfishly, have the situation we have. So I'm quite comfortable with it. A few people asking, going to bring this one up, a few people asking about Manny Fernandez. I will tell you, folks, what the club told us on Wednesday night. I asked the club for an injury update on Manny Fernandez. They said he had a knock on his knee. Didn't sound like it was going to be anything serious. Big Yusuf Chermiti had 7 stitches on his Achilles. Do you remember the tackle at the end where Michael Stewart said it didn't look like he'd been touched? Exactly. Subsequently ripped down the back of his Achilles, which is basically the heel, isn't it? So that's going to be a nasty one. Hopefully, a couple of weeks for him, Andrew. But again, they didn't see it was going to be serious. Now, here's where it becomes different for me. I would definitely, and I mean definitely, start Nadiri on Sunday with a view to starting him against Motherwell, because the reason I say this is Motherwell are a very good passing team, but they play out from the back. Miofsky can't press. Chermiti injured. Nadiri can press. We seen it the other night. That's his game. He plays on the last man. He presses, he hunts, he harries, and he'll by default pull the team up because the others drop really deep, and that allows us to shuffle back in. See, if Nadiri's up top, we need to get close and stick to him. So in default, we will move up and we'll be more attacking. So Ryan Nadiri starts for me on Sunday, definitely. And I like the look of him. And I love my rash judgments. Roman's going to be the best left back in the world. Chukwuani's going to win the ball for fun. Skov Olsen will find his feet and score goals. and this boy up front's going to be our pressing king. And by the way, they've had Maeda for years doing that. And I looked at him the other night and I thought, this guy can press. This guy's going to be good. So first impressions, I'm quite confident that we've made some good January additions and lost 6 or 7 that we're not going to miss. So I think genuinely there's a lot to be positive at this moment in time. And without getting too far ahead of ourselves, it's nice to be able to come on a podcast and actually talk and be happy, Andrew, because as I said to Kenny last night, for a couple of years now, we've not had that. So to be able to come in and dream and speculate and talk about positive signings and things like that, we've just spent the best part of the arse end of 15 million in January. This is Rangers turning down 13 million bids, 10 million bids and things like that. So no, I'm really happy at this moment in time. Looking forward to Sunday. I can't wait for Fir Park. A lot of people may be nervous. I'm not like that. I can't wait. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot right now, Andrew.
No, I completely agree. I think where we have been, I know it becomes a thing that people don't like to hear that, but it's not even a case of looking back over the past decade. It's looking back over the past 5 months. This team was dead and buried. This was not even remotely in the realms of possibility. The fact that we're in the title race is a miracle in itself. The fact that we look like we can go on and do some really good things this season is a small miracle as well. And the fact that we appear to have strengthened in the right ways. We've added players who are going to improve us in the ways that we, I think, really needed. I think that only bodes well for us. Seeing Big Nadiri, big banger Kyle Lafferty about just because he's tall and lanky. So yeah, hopefully he has a similar kind of form to Kyle Lafferty in terms of where he tends to peak during the season. That'd be very useful for us. And yeah, I completely agree as well in terms of who you'd want starting against Motherwell. I think Miovski has scored more goals this season than Chimiti has, but I'm not totally sure how much he can offer, as you say, in that pressing game. Chimiti injured, shocking to hear that Michael Stewart didn't know what he was talking about. Unprecedented, obviously, from him. So yeah, it's got to be the big guy, and he's been signed for a reason as well. It's a record signing for the third tier in the German league. So makes sense. We've spent the money because we see something in him. It has been always the case that in January, every one of these players that we signed had to hit the ground running and had to start contributing because the squad was on its arse. And it had every bit of juice wrung out of it that it possibly could have. Now we are in a position where we have much more strength. We look to do some really exciting things over the next week or two. It's going to be exciting for us, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely think so. Let's talk about this one. Did invite some questions. Talk about Tello Asgard, give our opinions and things like that. Jock asks, why can't Danny Rule see that Asgard offers nothing, simply passes back to the guy that passes to him? Number 10 is a creator. Right, okay. Do I agree with that? Yes, I do. Do I think it is harsh? Weirdly, yes, I do. Tello Asgard, for me, has quality, absolute quality, but he's not shown it. He's playing more like a 6 or an 8 than a 10. I said this weeks ago, and I'll say it again, even when people were talking about him being in this purple patch and him scoring goals, he's definitely got quality. He can finish. He gets into decent positions, but he floats around the game too much for me. He wants too many touches. When he does affect the game, he's far too deep. That was a game the other night where I was looking for him to do a lot more, Andrew, and he didn't. Here's the other thing. Miovski wasn't impressive the other night, scored a goal and got more positive. Gassama wasn't impressive the other night. And they guys have been guilty of taking the tempo down of the three. The only one that looked urgent the other night for me was Mikey Moore. I thought he was terrific. And what I liked about Mikey Moore is he openly said, I need to get better. I need to get numbers. I need to do my thing. And the next game, 100%, he was a lot better and looking for it. So that's the kind of reaction I want. For me, Tello Asgard doesn't start, but here's why they kept him on at Easter Road and kept him on as long as he did. He's got a terrific delivery. Rangers should have scored at Easter Road. Fernandez completely missed a header, and it was right in front of goal from an Asgard corner, and that's why, for me, he was kept on. I would have changed it up, but I can understand Danny Rose thinking behind it. Also got to remember as well, Andrew, we paid $4.5 million for this boy. If I remember right, say anywhere between 3 and 4.5, whatever it was we paid for him last summer. We need to get a return from that. So of course he's going to stick in. Now, Danny Rose improved Manny Fernandez. He's improved Mikey Moore. He's improved Diamande and Raskin. The changes and improvements he made, maybe he still believes he can get more out of Asgard. Would I start him to answer Jock or answer the comments tonight? No. What do you think on Tello Asgard?
I think where I'm at is that I think he has been improved as well. Not to the level that I think we want to be improved, but I think he has improved from where he was under Russell Martin. Would he be in my starting 11? Probably not, because he doesn't offer, I think, enough in that position. But it's not a case anymore of you pick your best 11 and that's it. It's a squad game. It always will be, and you need a squad of players if you want to go ahead and win a league. He's got a role to play, I think, in that. I think, again, coming back to Danny Ross' comments post-game, a lot of what we did in that first half was about tiring Killy out, especially when you're down to 10 men. Killy were always going to set up to be defensive in that, and I think they stifled and frustrated us. And still, we had the 13 shots on target. So I don't think that he is as attacking minded, and I don't think he appears to put in the effort that we would like to see from a number 10. But I do think he has a role to play in that. He's not in my starting 11 for sure, but I think he's going to be a factor. And again, you come back to that point, Stevie. We've paid money for him, a good chunk. I mean, we've paid that out for a number of players this season, but he is still going to be someone we need to get a return on. We need to get something out of him. We have had far too many players over the past few seasons where they haven't contributed anything. They end up just sitting on the bench, costing us money, and they eventually leave for nothing. And that is a crap situation to be in, because no player comes in and gets paid zero money every week. Every player is collecting a wage, and you want to get some kind of return on that wage. You talk about the levels of contributions you get for those wages. There are certain players who remain at the club still who have not contributed enough and continue to not contribute enough.
You mean Ravi
Matondo? Yeah. I couldn't possibly comment on that. A certain Matondo. No, that's too obvious. A certain Rabbi M. You have these players who don't contribute enough. I think there's still stuff that we can get out of Asgard. A free kick, I will come back to that, because it was a ridiculously good free kick, and it doesn't matter if it was against Annan or if it was against anyone else. That's a ridiculously good free kick. The problem is he doesn't do that kind of thing enough. But because he represents an option, because he can do that, because he has that in his locker, that's why he's going to continue to feature at points. I suspect that as we get players back, certainly if Connor Barron comes back and starts imposing himself, I think you might see Dio switch into that 10 role instead, or indeed Mikey Moore, and his minutes will become lessened, because you're going to have Connor Barron, Raskin as a 2, with Dio or Mikey Moore in front of them. But he's still going to feature. It comes down to a squad. We have a good squad of players now, a better squad of players than we did start the January window. It's going to need contributions from everyone. So yeah, he's going to have a part to play. He's just not right in my top 10, 11 players.
Yeah. Listen, I think there's loads of good points on Asgard coming in and people talking about it. I think Miovski falls into that bracket as well, although he's starting to notch a few goals. Could Miovski be better with Nadiri up front, was a point made as well, which I think he can. Quickly going to answer this. Not important, but why was it Stevie Smith yesterday and not Rule? Hope he's not in a huff. Danny knew that I wasn't going to be at the press conference, so it wasn't worthwhile when he couldn't see his favourite guy. No, I think the point in the press conference, Natalie, to be quite honest with you, was Ryan Nadiri spoke to the press today, spoke really well. There was 2 players there, so there'll be another one out tomorrow, and that's for the press to get a couple of words with new signings. Could it be 2 Romans tomorrow? I don't know. I wasn't there. I would think most likely maybe it is. And then you've got the 2 new guys speaking to the press. I think Stevie Smith was taking it purely because Danny was at his work the night before, most likely till after midnight and stuff, and in that press conference is at 9:30 in the morning. So that's the answer, I would imagine, from the club if I was to ask them. So yeah, that's, I think, basically where we are. Andrew, Scottish Cup weekend. It's a good one. I love the Scottish Cup, I must admit. I've not loved it recently, but growing up, the Scottish Cup always had that kind of magic for me. I used to love watching when I was a wee kid, like Sports Scene on a Saturday night when it had the Scottish Cup as a symbol and all that. And I absolutely loved it. My first ever Rangers game was in 1992 Scottish Cup final, Rangers versus Airdrie. And I was in the Airdrie end with my family who are not Rangers fans, but took me especially along, where I witnessed Ali McCoist and Mark Catley score the goals that won the cup. Big Andy Smith got one back from Airdrie. So that's probably a really nice memory for me because it was my first one. Another one, I was at the Lovencrans Cup final. Barry Ferguson, man of the match. Lovencrans scores in the last minute to win it 3-2 against Celtic. So there's been loads of Scottish Cup moments for me. Aberdeen 4-0 with the Orange Cup final, the tribute to the Dutch players and Dick Advocaat and stuff. So love that, the Scottish Cup. But, you know, even the one with Gio, when we won under Gio, beating Hearts 2-0, Ryan Jack, and of course the legendary Scott Wright getting the second as well. So many good memories, but we have to turn these into current memories. I'm 42. In the last 15 years, we haven't won the Scottish Cup enough. Once. So let's go and start righting these wrongs at Rangers, Andrew. Let's go and start ensuring that winning Scottish Cups becomes the norm. You know, that's what we really have to do. We certainly can't have a disaster like last year because that was an absolute shambles. Rangers are in a better place this one, right this time round, but we can't allow any Queen's Park disasters that we had last year, that's for sure.
I think it's a case of not being complacent about it. While I suspect there's going to be some rotation, as you've said, we know that we're going to have a lot of these free midweeks coming up now. So I think it's an opportunity for the new boys to maybe start, get some more minutes, get them more acclimatized, and hopefully get some, some more experience, some more goals, some more assists. That would be lovely. I think it's down to continuing this consistency. We've been in a position where we have been knocking out wins. We've been keeping clean sheets or keeping good defenses for the most part as well. It's about continuing that. You know, Queen's Park are another step. It's another opportunity. You win this one, you're through to the fifth round. This is the fifth round, so we're through to the quarterfinals, right? So, it's just a case of knocking this one out and getting ourselves into that next round, because then we're only a couple of games away from a trophy. And we have not been so trophy rich in the past 15 years to be treating it with any kind of dismissal or anything like that. It's a trophy, one of two that we can still win this season. I want us to go full out for it. I don't want us to be in a position where we can look back on it with regrets, because we've had plenty of opportunities when we have been in a title race. I always come back to the Steven Gerrard's title win, where we had two good opportunities to go and get some cups there, and we managed to throw them away through our own failings. And I don't want that to be in the position again. Of course, I want us to win the league. The league's always going to be your bread and butter. It's always got to be your number one. But the cup makes it that much sweeter. It's steak and chips, not just steak. You know, steak by itself is fine, but I like the chips as well. Chips will be lovely. So give me both. Thanks.
Listen, I
think
think
I've not had my dinner yet as well.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's had their dinner yet at this time. Honestly, if Rangers were to do a double this season, it would be one of the best doubles that I've ever seen. The position we were in, Danny Rule, when he came in, the players, the morale, the way they were performing. If he turns us around, then, you know, a double this season would be absolutely spectacular. Kenny made an interesting point last night, Andrew, and I've been thinking about this, and I do trust that what Kenny said last night was right. And I actually feel it as well. And it'll be interesting to see what people think. I think the trajectory we're on under Danny Rule, and I think the January signings, and I think what Kenny was saying is right. If Rangers don't become successful this year, I think the learnings of this year, the players, how they've came on, the January window going into the summer, we won't need to rip it up. We don't need to get rid of 15 in the summer. We just got rid of 6. So come the summertime, there might be another 6 to come in, and there might be another 4, 5, 6 to come in. It's not quite the massive turnaround that we've had in years before. Rangers are going to be ready to go. Hearts, I think, play maximum 43 games this season or something because they went out of both cups. Rangers have already played that. Next season, they'll have Europe, they'll have cups and everything else to contend with. Celtic are going to go through a huge transitional change with new manager, new board, everything. Rangers are the one on the trajectory rising. And I like the fact that we didn't go out and splurge 30 million and sign 10 in January and do that rebuild thing. We quietly put our ducks in a row to build for others. Kenny said to me last night that he really feels like if we're not successful this season, we will be in the following seasons. And I think genuinely that's got a real good point. I think for the first time in a while, we're heading in the proper direction. Is it perfect at the moment? No. But I'll tell you what, these players, this manager, Andrew Kavanagh, deserve a hell of a lot of credit. They really do, to be in the position we are. So all credit to the team and everything else. We're now February, and we're in a pretty good position to go and try and hunt a double. Now, nothing's a given. We're all, actually, the 3 of us tipped Rangers last night. And that's me, Chris, and Kenny. Now, Chris is, quietly optimistic, but is quite reserved. I'm one win away from being, champions of Europe, and 1 defeat away from this is, all a catastrophe. Kenny's somewhere in between. But there's a confidence, and I like it. I like being positive. I like being in a position where we can say realistically that the trajectory of the club and the way that things are going is good. As I said, it'd be interesting to see what people are saying about it. But if we're not successful this year, all the bases are there through learning, experience, through the squad. It needs some strengthening, but I think we're in a good position at the moment. If we have a strong end to the season, if we don't become successful, I think we're ready to go next season, build on it and go again. And that, to me, is quite exciting, as much as the position we're in. For the first time in ages, I can honestly say, Andrew, that I think the club are in a good position. There's not much happening off the field. There's not many headlines. Well, until today, there wasn't many headlines. But, I honestly feel good about it for the first time in a very long time. And I think that's huge credit to the players, Danny Rule and Andrew Kavanagh, when it comes to backing us in January and things.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw that with January, and that we've actually made, I don't think the 5th one's been announced yet, but it was the midfielder who I think is being lined up for next summer. I don't know if that was
for the summer. Yeah, but
yeah.
Dal for the summer. I think there's a good possibility of that. I don't think it's done or anything like that, but is it one they're targeting? Yeah, I think it is. And that'll be because Raskin and Diamande and things. But do you know what's good about that? Chukwuani's clearly in now to settle in to replace Diamande, and Dal will probably come in to replace Raskin, who will have a great World Cup and go for mega money. That's the plan, isn't it? But do you know what it is, Andrew? For the first time in a long time, it's forward thinking. That's what it is. And yeah, almost acting like a big team. Who would have thought it?
I think that's what it comes down to. We actually look like there's some kind of strategy in place. There's some kind of plan. And it is helped massively by the fact that we don't have to tear everything up again in the summer and try and rebuild. We're still in a competitive title race in February. We haven't had enough seasons recently where we could even say that. So the fact that we've done it coming back from where we were earlier in the season has been fantastic. And I'm excited. I mean, Chris being optimistic about Rangers is almost like cats and dogs being friends. It's very unusual territory, but nonetheless, I think it's a reflection on where we are. Chris was determined to be, if it's not Muscat, then it's not Rangers. But he's managed to change his tune, and all it takes is Rangers winning games. It's amazing how much that lifts the mood of everyone concerned, because ultimately that's all we ever want. We want Rangers to be winning things, ideally winning shiny things, and then waving them at us at the end of the season. So we don't have to be in a position where we're getting rid of a manager. We don't have to be in a position where we need to get rid of 20 players out the squad because we think they're all crap because they've won nothing again. I'm very happy with where we are right now. I will be even happier if we can come on next week and talk about how Rangers have gone one step further. But that's for then. We've got some things to win in the meantime. And I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, I know that there are folk who are nervous about the Motherwell game. I'm quietly optimistic about it, and I'm excited to see what we do because some of the new players that we have in now are exciting. Tua Robbins has been a revelation at left back. And again, I'll come back to, I don't think Macoma's been bad or anything, but Tua Robbins is clearly a step up. You know, you can see the extra bit of maturity there. And we've got that all across the park now, where we're starting to see little things slowly starting to work. We're seeing Danny Roll slowly get his message across. Again, that extra training time on the pitch, that's going to help as well. So it's all things to be optimistic and positive about. Very unusual for us, I know, Stevie, but I'm happy that we are in that situation. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, Natalie, my first game to see us win the Scottish Cup was a roasting day. Novo scored that incredible goal, was sat right behind it and watched it dip right in. It was amazing. I was in the front row of the stand across from the main stand. Of course, I got sunburned. I mean, look at the size of this head. Of course, I got sunburned. I was like a beetroot when I came out of there, Andrew. So I only managed 6 or 7 pints that night before retiring quite early. I think I was home for 11 or 12 that night. It wasn't quite the celebration that Cammy and I wanted it to be. But yeah, that was a really roasting hot day. I remember it well because we were rotten, and I think Nacho Novo should have scored a couple and didn't. So yeah, beetroot head, what a day that was. Andrew, talk about Sunday just before we kind of round this up. Team news, we can kind of go through this, I think, together, how we would do it. People can get in the comments as well, because I think there'll be a few that we maybe miss. I would start Liam Kelly because it's a cup. I'm quite comfortable with Liam being in goals. I really like Liam as a person. He's a truly great guy. Loves Rangers. I really hope he gets an extension. He's a perfect backup goalkeeper and squad goalkeeper for us to push number one. So I hope he gets a new deal. Backline, I would start James Tavernier because I would not start him against Motherwell or Hearts. So I would play Tav in there. I would play Giga again. No pajamas though. That was fucking outrageous. No pajamas at all. So Giga would play. And if Manny Fernandez isn't there, I would probably play John Suter, but not the whole game. Would I play Tav from the bench, or would I play Max Aarons then to come on from the bench? Tav can move into the middle, all going well, then yeah, probably. Left back, I would start with Meg Homa, with Romans to come in and play another 30 minutes with the intention of starting him against Motherwell and Hearts. Midfield, where it becomes tricky because we don't have Dowell and Rothwell and things like that anymore. So Chukwueze would start, because squad-wise, I mean, because they played the last round. So, would I go with Chukwueze and Diamande? Yes, and I would bench Raskin. And then up front, I would go with Moore in the 10, Ant-Man on the left, and on the right-hand side, probably Skov Olsen. Up front, Miovski. Up front, Nadiri. I beg your pardon. Miovski to come on after even half-time or whatever, all going well. Gassama on the bench, Raskin on the bench. We'll bring Gassama on to play maybe half an hour so that Skov Olsen gets 60-odd minutes. That would do me fine. Bayrami could start somewhere in there. Would you start Bayrami? And then you could put Mikey Moore maybe out onto the right or something. I'm not sure. But Bayrami's got a kind of role to play, I think, in that cup game. So yeah, I think that's more or less. I can't remember if I've forgotten Some people might say they would start Romans and then bring on Meg Homer. That's absolutely fine to me. I wouldn't play Sterling. Sterling could, of course, play centre half. You could have him on the bench to play 45 minutes instead of Suter. So you've got the squad's quite small. Because it's a cup game, we can't give debuts to like Kyle Glasgow and stuff because they're not eligible, are they? So, but you don't want to go too soft that you end up with a nightmare situation. You go as relatively strong as you can. Hopefully, put the game to bed within the first hour and then make changes. And that's you comfortably set up for Motherwell at the weekend. Now, Motherwell's game against Aberdeen is off tomorrow, and Pittodrie pitch is still not ready. So Motherwell are going to have, a good couple of weeks rest before they play us. But that could backfire because they're not in a rhythm. So there's ways to look at it. I can't remember if I'm missing anybody from that 11. That Barron's obviously, as the manager said, 4 weeks away. So I don't think there's much else that you could really do in there. Of course, you can't play Finlay Curtis. Your couple of youngsters can't come in. So I think that's more or less the 11 with the potential changes I would make for Sunday. And I think that should hopefully, Andrew, be strong enough. Maybe Miovski and Nadiri up front. Would he go more a 4-4-2? Potentially, he could do something like that. He talked about the two tens in behind the two strikers. So that's interesting. There is possibility for that. But that's more or less, I think, where we'll be come Sunday afternoon. Do you think there's anybody that you would put in, or is there anybody that I've missed? I can't think. Nobody's telling me in the comments that I've missed somebody obvious. So that's at least good.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I don't think Moore plays that game. I want him as fresh as possible for the Motherwell one because I want him to be in a position where he's got as much energy as possible to help unlock that defence. So I think he drops out. Again, that's maybe the kind of situation where you see a fellow Asgard or you see Bayrami, as you said, coming in instead in that 10, because it with all due respect and with all the knowledge of what's happened previously, it is still Queen's Park, and we should hopefully have enough in the tank without him. I think with the left-hand side, I'd like to see Gassama get some more minutes there. I'd like to see if he can rediscover some of his form. And I agree that Scott Olsen should continue on the right-hand side and start there. Nadiri up top. I think in terms of that defence, that's a tricky thing because there's some combination of Tav and Sterling and Aarons. I don't think any of the three of them are the answer long-term. Sterling because of fitness, Tav because of age, Aarons because of who he is. I don't think he's the answer, unfortunately. But nonetheless, they will all have something to offer. So I think probably cynically, I'd start Aarons on the Sunday because you know that it should be a lower impact game. Everyone else will be trying to get forward. Ant-Man's the one as well, who I think you could potentially look at coming in as well, but I'd still be inclined to start Gassama and see if we can get something out of him. And you can rotate. It's going to be a squad game after all. I don't think the team that starts should be the team that finishes. We're going to have the opportunity, hopefully, for lots of rotation. And I would like to see some guys on the bench coming on and getting a good chunk of time as well. Just to keep everything nice and fresh, just keep things moving and making sure we're as healthy and strong as possible for the Motherwell game. Because the one thing I don't want to start doing is getting nervous about injuries or anything like that. We actually have a spare left back now, which we didn't have before. So that worst case scenario that I had in the back of my head, the whole first half of the season shouldn't come to pass anymore. We've got two of them now. But I think it's going to be an opportunity for both players in a lot of positions to get some minutes, get themselves ticking over and get themselves warmed up because the league business is going to keep coming thick and fast.
Yeah, on that point, it kind of raised a wee point in my mind. Perhaps wouldn't start Nadiri and Miovski together because they're only two fit strikers. And if you have something happen with one of them, then the other one is undoubtedly having to play 90 minutes at Fir Park. And no disrespect, I don't want my 90-minute guy on Motherwell to be Bojan Majowski. I want it to be Ryan Naderi. Even of what I've seen of him, I think that he's going to be the pressing guy that we need. So, yeah, interesting, Andrew. Just a couple of things to kind of wrap up, though, before we go. The live show in Belfast will be on March 28th. Saturday, we are playing Belfast Supporters Club. The link to the tickets. Tickets are now on sale, selling really well. Bit unsure of how they would go with it being Northern Ireland. Would we have a big support? I believe that it's heading well towards a sellout, which is fantastic news. So tickets are £12.50. If you are in the area in Belfast, please come along and see us. It will be a fantastic night. And yeah, just the usual, please, Andrew, of like and subscribe. And if you want to become a member, you can become a member by going way over there this time. Other way.
It's because I'm on the other side, Stevie. I'm confused, I'm all mixed up.
I'm confused as well. You're supposed to be hosting, and I've kind of hosted this, so I thought you can take over and close the show then, mate. How about that? But I would say, do you know what? We went early tonight so that people, there's other podcasts tonight. I think Club 1872 are live on a Friday as well. This is Ibrox. I've just put out a pod at 5 o'clock as well and stuff. Go and check out everybody. We would always encourage that. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to all Rangers podcasts, because it really helps fan media. It helps us grow, and this allows everybody as well to go and have a good Friday night. So we decided to go early, one, because I do about 1,000 podcasts a week and I would like some chill time, and you deserve your weekend as well, Andrew. So we hope that people enjoy it, and hopefully they'll go and have a good weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Stevie, first of all, it's a pleasure to chat with you again, all things Rangers, and the fact that we're winning as well makes it even happier. Yes, would absolutely echo what you said. Would encourage folk to like and subscribe, not just to us, but any Rangers podcasts out there, or at least the ones that Stevie mentioned. I don't want to give a sweeping statement. There's lots out there, but nonetheless, we encourage folk to check him out, because hey, it's all about the community, right? We're just trying to grow this stuff, so we enjoy the company. Our thanks, of course, to our sponsors: Run Express, Clyde Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, CSD Air Conditioning, Amrit over at Candy, Local Dark Shop Online, and Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Lovely people, all of them. Thank you so much for their support, and thank you all for watching as well. About 1,000 of you watching across Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as well, which is phenomenal, given that we're on like 5:45 on a Friday night. Everyone tuning in is much appreciated.
You know what, Andrew, the following is absolutely incredible. Regularly now have anywhere over 6,000 watching a podcast for us. And I think a new show starts on Sunday night, worth plugging that as well. Rob's Corner. Rob Fawcett, our podder, is going to go every Sunday. So on Sundays you'll have the Sunday show, and then on the alternative weekends when they're not on, you'll have Rob Corner. So we're going to be live every Sunday night as well, 7, half 7-ish, depending on the guys' availability. So we're going to be live now Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's 4 out of the 7. We also do match day vlogs. So the week ahead, basically, for people looks like this. On Sunday, Rob's show. On Monday, we've got a special podcast going out with Ewan McFarlane of Club 1872. So I'll be recording with Ewan. Massive changes at Club 1872. So I'll sit down with him and we'll discuss everything there. Then we're live on Monday night. Wednesday night, match day vlog from Motherwell. There may be an instant post-match as well after that game. Thursday, myself, Chris and Kenny will go again because we're on the Wednesday night. And then we'll be back on the Friday night live. And then Sunday, we'll have match day vlog at Hearts. And then on the Sunday night, we'll have the live Sunday show. So it might be different because it's February weekend. So there's availability issues, I think. We're also in the process of speaking to some new podcasters as well, some new members that want to come on. Davey's been recording a load of first and favourites, hasn't he? So a couple have went out for members to go and check them out. If you want to be on the show, come and join us. So, it's busy, and we hope that we're providing a a kind of show that people, or a platform that people enjoy. And as I said, the reaction of people, Andrew, is unbelievable. So thank you. Thank you so much. Can we put the schedules up on screen, then take a screenshot of the times, etc.? Willie, I will put a schedule up on our YouTube page for all the followers and members and stuff like that. So yeah, please go and check it out.
I would also add, if you do want to sign up to be a member, you'll get ad-free podcasts. You'll also get to see those first and favourites that Davey's recorded. The one
you
with
get to be on the show.
Exactly, yeah. Who wouldn't want to join us? We've got happy things to talk about. It's not like, earlier when it was really difficult as a pitch. Now we can actually talk about fun things instead. But yeah, if you want to get a sneak peek, get a preview of potential new podders who are joining Four Lads, then sign up for the membership and you can see them. And as Stevie says, you can even come on yourself. Always fascinating to listen to those and see folks' first and favourites. It's always a rare treat. So again, my thanks to everyone out there tuning in, whether you're listening, whether you're watching live, whether you're tuning in later. Thank you so much. Stevie, my friend, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you again.
Thank you, mate. Long time since we podded, so thank you. Can I just say, everybody, thanks for everybody's continued support for the podcast, for ourselves personally. Really appreciate it. And enjoy your Friday, your Saturday, and we'll see you all again on Sunday, for which hopefully a good Sunday. I've got Amrit on the vlog on Sunday, so that guarantees two things: pick a mix and outrageous optimism. Calvin is with him on Sunday and myself, so you've got a threesome on Sunday, and one that, unlike the front of the newspapers today, is perfectly legal.
Thanks for that, Stevie. Really,
I was just delighted.
No,
Mate.
you found a good way to end it on a classy note. That's
mate.
nice.
See the headlines when it says Rangers and sex scandal. I was just relieved it wasn't me, to be quite honest. So yeah. On that note, Andrew, quickly pull the curtains.
Honestly, the shot of fear that went through me when I saw that, Stevie. Not again. Nonetheless, folks, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on Friday. And until we talk to you again, folks, bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the